Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new week. It's Monday. Thank God it's Monday. And we're starting week 13 of our introduction to Christianity in the fall of 2022 at Florida International University. This is the core required introductory course for a certificate in Christian studies. And this week we are going over the early 20th century, the Great War and its aftermath and developments of Christianity, global Christianity after World War I through World War II this week. So let me go here, and here's our outline for the week. The 20th century, the context, the post-war turbulence, the Armenian Genocide, the Russian Revolution. That's probably about as far as we'll get today, maybe the post-war Theology of Crisis. And then in our next episode, we'll be talking about the fundamentalist controversy. With this week, we'll talk about the Cristero War in Mexico. We'll talk about Sigmund Freud and his critique of religion. And finally, we'll talk about the German church crisis of the 1930s under Hitler and the Spanish Civil War and their effects on Christianity. So to start today, the Great War began I'm calling it the Great War because that's what it was known at the time. Now in the early part of the 21st century, we think of it as World War I. But until this arose, there had never been a global war of this magnitude. So it was called the Great War. And it was sparked off by an act of irrational violence by Serbian nationalists on June 28, 1914, who shot and killed the Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. And this sparked off an international conflict and crisis of unparalleled destructiveness. So the conflict began a month later, July 28th, with the Austro-Hungarian invasion of Serbia, which followed shortly afterwards by a German invasion of Belgium, Luxembourg, and France, since Germany was an ally of Serbia. Since most of the combatants were colonial powers, the conflict quickly became globalized. After initially taking a position of neutrality, the United States entered the conflict on the side of Great Britain and France in April 1917. And this brings us to a nice little graphic that illustrates where the powers were. The powers and states and empires that are in black are those that were called the Allies: France, Great Britain, and Russia. Of course, India and Egypt got involved because this was a colonial situation. And the territories in red were the Axis powers: Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and it says Turkey on the map, but it was actually the Ottoman Empire. One of the interesting things about the Great War was that it involved a number of empires: the Russian Empire, the incipient German Empire, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the French Empire, and the British Empire. And this led almost immediately after this. Some of them were overthrown. Some began to fragment and fall apart. Others began a slow decline, such as the British Empire. So it brought about huge changes for the global order. So we're discussing this today because it had a tremendous effect on global Christianity. The Great War had a massive impact. Christianity was still a Western phenomenon in 1914 rather than global. The war fractured relationships between nations and churches, and the war also put a final end to the notion of Christendom. The idea was discredited following the fragmentation of Europe after the French Revolution, but now it received a mortal wound from which it would never recover. Christendom is an expression of Christianity that uses or allies itself with the power of the state. That's the best way I can define it. Going back to Constantine and his recognition of Christianity, Christendom was the idea that church and state should be together, and the state should back up the power of the church in the mundane world. Christian nations had regularly fought one another in the past, but never with such ferocity. The Great War. This led to the revolution in Russia. The Great War was not a religious war in any sense of the term. The situation of Russia is of particular importance. Russia soon found herself overwhelmed by German technological superiority and was forced to sue for peace. This caused existing internal tensions to reach a breaking point in Russia, and it is widely agreed to have been a trigger for the Russian Revolution of 1917, unquestionably one of the most important developments in the 20th century for the fortunes of Christianity. There was also, after the Great War, there was also a great deal of disillusionment and international instability. Any account of the history of Christianity in the 20th century must give due weight to the instability and disillusionment that arose in the aftermath of the Great War. But our initial concern is going to be with two events that took place during the Great War, which shaped the course of the 20th century, and that would be the Armenian Genocide and the Russian Revolution. The Armenian Genocide of 1915 is still a controversial topic. It is a catastrophe which traumatized Christians living in the Eastern Mediterranean. These Armenian Christians found their ancestral homeland overlapped the Ottoman Empire, the boundaries of the Ottoman Empire and Russia. So some Armenians lived in Russia, some lived in the Ottoman Empire under Sunni Muslim rule. But the ailing Ottoman Empire found itself beginning to fragment during the Great War, and a series of rebellions, one of which was the Arab rebellions against Ottoman rule in the Middle East and beyond. So the Ottoman Empire was predominantly Islamic, and predominantly Sunni Islam. It was home to a significant number of non-Islamic peoples, including Armenian Christians. There were also Assyrian Christians in Iraq and Syrian Christians in Syria. The Armenian people had adopted the Christian faith in 301, which is one of the earliest ethnic groups to become Christian. And they regarded themselves as the oldest Christian nation in the world. In the 1950s, a series of massacres, forced deportations, claimed the lives of between 1 million and 1.5 million Armenians. It's now referred to as the Armenian Genocide, although you will not hear Turkish diplomats referring to that. They pretty much steadfastly deny it. So here's a picture of the areas in 1915 where the main massacres and deportations and flight routes were located. So you see that historical Armenia goes all the way up to Alexandropol, and that's a section of Georgia known as Armenia. And then it crosses the border over into what's modern Turkey. And I don't really recognize, all the way down to Aleppo in the western part of Syria. So the larger circles are the estimated numbers of killed Armenians. The flight routes are with the arrows. And this happened in 1915, and unfortunately, Turkey has refused to acknowledge it or take any responsibility for crimes against humanity. A month after the beginning of the Armenian Genocide, France, Great Britain, and Russia joined together to issue a declaration denouncing the massacres as crimes against humanity and civilization, for which the entire Turkish government should be held responsible. But ultimately, no action was ever taken against Turkey, leading many, such as Adolf Hitler, most interestingly, to conclude that the international community was prepared to tolerate such acts of genocide, especially when they took place in the fog of war. And so that boded ill for the Jews living in Germany about 30 years later. So this led to the Armenian diaspora. The impact of the genocide upon Christianity in the region was seen as a catastrophe. Christians in the Middle East were stunned and numbed by these events. Many of them lived as religious minorities under the Islamic rule and feared that this massacre might lead to a more general repression of Christians by other Islamic powers in the region, which their fears were fulfilled when we invaded Iraq in 2004 and removed Saddam Hussein. That unleashed a wave of persecution against Christians by Shia Muslims. Many drew the conclusion that the dispersion of Armenians was the only way of ensuring their safety. So that is Armenia. So now we go to the Russian Revolution. So the many Armenians in 1915 thought that they might look to Russia for help, for protection against the Ottoman Empire. Of course, Russia was one of the countries that denounced the genocide. However, by 1917, Russia was no longer a Christian nation. It became the Soviet Union in 1917 became the first state to have its ideological objective the complete elimination of religion. Of course, this goes back to Karl Marx's ideas, his reductionistic view of Christianity as the religion as an opiate of the masses, and Vladimir Lenin, who became the revolutionary leader in Russia, was in full agreement with Marx and even took it further and felt like religion was a tool of oppression used against peasants by the ruling classes to justify their oppression. So there's a picture of Vladimir Lenin. Of course, Stalin was not much better. He probably was worse, actually. So, in 1918, Vladimir Lenin issued a decree depriving the church, now we're speaking of the Russian Orthodox Church, of any right to own property, to teach religion in private or state schools, or to teach religion to any group of minors. That is, minors of age, not minors of coal. Lenin confiscated the wealth of churches and monasteries and executed the resistors. Churches were closed or destroyed. Priests were imprisoned, exiled, or executed. In 1938 alone, there were 55 priests that were executed. In 1917, there were almost 40,000 churches in Russia, 39,530. By 1940, out of those 40,000 churches, there were only less than 1,000 left functional. So it seems that the Soviet persecution of the Russian Orthodox Church was rather effective. To be fair, they didn't only persecute Christians, in particular the Orthodox, but they also oppressed Jews and Muslims in Russia, particularly Muslims, because they have a large population in Central Asia of Muslim citizens of the Soviet Union. So this leads to a theology of crisis. Immediately after the Great War, there was considerable disillusionment. Had the vast cost of the war, both in terms of material and human lives, been worth it? The impact of the First World War upon European culture cannot be overstated. These years saw remarkable alterations in Western Europe's self-consciousness. Oswald Spengler wrote The Decline of the West in 1918, in which he spoke ominously of the death of Western culture. A writer by the name of Bury poured scorn on the idea of continuous development of human culture and civilization through education and knowledge in his book, The Idea of Progress, published in 1920. And of course, this is going to have some effect on theology. Also, there was a widely perceived in the post-war years as the final collapse of the cultural heritage of the 19th century. And there were literally shockwaves being felt in every sphere of intellectual and creative activity. Among those shockwaves were the Russian Revolution, the Armenian Genocide, and the global Spanish flu pandemic. Western Christianity found itself in a crisis after the war. Many believed that the conflict had exposed deep inadequacies in the existing assumptions about the nature of the church and the nature of humanity, which would have to be addressed before progress could be made. And that will bring us to the Theology of Crisis of Karl Barth, which we will continue in the next episode. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And please feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions or comments, or you want to know any more about this course or our certificate. Talk to you in the next episode. Take care.